Okay, we're live Facebook.
Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Norman Shealy and Dr. Shealy-Sorin. Get the health answers you need from the creator of holistic medicine and the 2020 Holistic Doctor of the Year. To be a part of today's show, call 417-447-1777. Wellness Wednesday. Now, here are your hosts, Dr. Norman Shealy and Dr. Shealy-Sorin.
And hello. Today's topic for the Wellness Wednesday is the number one lie you've been told about aging. And there are quite a few lies that we'll be exposing, but what would you say is the number one lie that people.
That it's difficult to live to be 100. And
Fascinating.
yet, we're born with our telomeres, the tips of our DNA, 99+% strong, longer than they are in the average person who's dead. Now, the average person dies at 79 because they have filthy, sloppy health habits. But we have proven not only that you can restore what you've lost if you have good health habits, you can restore, regenerate, but you've got to do a few things beyond basic habits.
Yes, but before a person can talk about a life 200 or above 100, and actually, shall we talk as well today about life beyond 100? Because that's another myth. And as many people as I talk to, I ask, or if they say, how long they expect to live, and this is an interesting statement, by the way, for everyone listening out there. If I were to ask a statement or a question, how long do you expect to live, and how do you expect to die, so to speak, or or what do you expect yourself to die from, what kind of condition or situation? And again, it's not to bring in the shadow or the topic of death, but to kind of get a sense, because people are actually accurately right on in many cases. And speaking of some examples, actually.
Well, Erickson said, when I read hypnotherapist, that the average person set for age and cause of death early in life, by age 10 or 12. Something has happened to someone they're close to them, and they decide, I'll be like. And, well, the best way to be like the worst people in the world is to eat at fast food restaurants. Second best is buy anything that's in the grocery stores. And third is to load your diet with rice, white rice. It's almost as bad as sugar. White potatoes, almost as bad as sugar. Sugar itself, and wheat.
And then, of course, there's the other habits, including exercise or lack of, sleep or lack of, weight optimal or not. And of course, then there's other very important things like stress management. And stress is behind a lot of the damage that happens in terms of the physical, mental, and emotional, and in holistic perspective, spirit, soul, mind, body. But, I want to get back to what you were talking about earlier. Very important topic, that most people compromise. They throw away years and decades of their lives. And most people throw away at least a couple of decades, or at least 20% plus of their entire capacity for life. What's even more fascinating to me is that in our society, and I work in emergency room as well as in the clinic, especially emergency room setting, I get people saying, if a person is, let me rephrase, when I see a person 30 plus, it's expected that they have medical conditions. It's expected that they have blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol. I mean, multiple diagnoses, multiple drugs, reflux. Most people have depression and anxiety. And of course, there's a huge correlation between mental health and emotional and physical, chronic illness, all sorts of stuff, premature death, cancers, heart attacks, strokes. I mean, you name it. There's the whole complex. And the other interesting thing is how this whole also correlates to not just premature suffering and low quality of life, which is in itself should be a topic, but premature death. In other words, giving up years of our lives that we don't have to give up, and how to get that back, so to speak.
Well, you can develop that. The number one death habit is overweight.
Mhm.
72% of Americans are overweight, and 36 just plain sloppy fat. Both of those shorten your life more than anything else. Second is inadequate veggies. Now, rice we consider a vegetable, but if it's not a leaf, I don't consider it a vegetable. And the average American eats only 2.2 servings a day. You need 5 to 8. The average American, 90% don't do any exercise physically. Only 10% get a minimum of exercise, and probably only 4% optimal. Then there's sleep. The average person, well, 42% sleep less than 7 hours. And those who sleep less than 7 hours have a higher rate of automobile accidents than drunks and alcoholics combined.
This is essential, what Dr. Shealy just mentioned, in many ways, because first of all, we keep saying it every show, and we keep saying multiple times a show, hoping that everybody hears it at least once, or preferably 700 times. Why do we say that? Why do we spend so much time on this topic when there's so much other exciting stuff to talk about, including aging and anti-aging and everything else? Well, this is the foundation of health. This is the foundation of what we need. If you think of a house without a good foundation, you can't build anything really. And if you do, it's going to be shaky. It's going to crumble, no matter how well or beautifully you build it. A good house literally is a house with a good foundation, and that's what this is. And of course, we'll say it many more times, but the next level of foundation that is essential is going to be how you handle stress, and the world is full of stress. Stress is behind 95+% of all the terrible things that happen, including disease, chronic disease, mental health, physical health, you name it. So again, this is where this man's discovery comes into being on the biogenics, self-regulation, and autogenic training. In other words, if you are going to be in a stressful world, in a stressful environment, surrounded by things that are harmful, you need to have the defenses for it. And whichever way you form the defenses or capacity to do well, this is one system, for example.
Biogenics consists of 68 different exercises of how to train your brain mind. And it works if you do it. Now, the only thing is, it requires 36 minutes a day for 3 months to train the brain. But that's the best new language you can learn.
This is absolutely amazing because the brain truly is the control center. It's if you are truly in concern, if you got this, if you got the decision making, emotions, feelings, if your brain, your mind is right, you can make physical patterns that are going to be right. Without the brain being right, the mind, it's difficult to be healthy. It's impossible to be healthy. That's a level that you cannot afford to ignore or skip. And it's also another huge question then comes is what's beyond that? And then this is where we get into more the holistic aspect, soul spirit aspect. And I can tell people what to believe, how to believe. I know what I know. It's to me, it's absolutely indistinguishable, spirit, soul, from the rest of me, because that is who I am. That is my nature. And even when I'm no longer physically here, and there will be a time and a day on that, it's okay. It's my essence continues, the energy and otherwise. And that essence, that energy is what's driving personally that control center. In other words, there is a filter, there's a translation of that into the physical energy, and then I become who I am in my physical body, in my habits, in my decisions, in my relationships, and what I do in the world, including holistic medicine. Now, if you were to take that kind of approach and keep the vessel pure and to the point, to the principle, you can do very well because you'll keep your lifestyle, you'll keep your foundations, and you will optimize. You will get to the place where you can actually fulfill the blueprint of what a human being is, which is at least 100 years old. And that should be everyone.
And happy and healthy while getting there. The interesting thing is, I grew up in a family where my great great grandfather lived almost 100. His daughter lived 102 years, and they had good, simple health habits. They didn't do anything extraordinary, but they lived a healthy lifestyle. Now, you can do this many ways, but at the very top of the list is adequate vegetables. And that I don't consider white potatoes, white rice, sugar, and wheat vegetable. They have been changed enough that they're junk and dangerous foods.
Yeah. Fair enough to say on that topic is a variety of different colors, because that means different types of nutrients and leafy and otherwise, but cruciferous. That should be the key. By the way, speaking of a garden, we have a garden coming in this
Tomorrow,
tomorrow. Yeah.
it's being plowed up 45 by 45.
Yes. And we're gonna grow a couple of things there, right?
Oh, well, I've already got the asparagus
Oh yeah.
ordered, and we'll have kale and tomatoes and bell peppers at the top of the list, and spinach.
Wonderful.
And then probably a row of sweet potatoes, and because sweet potatoes are good for you, whereas Irish potatoes are not. And then mixed vegetables of various kinds.
And actually, what you just described is a good staple all around. So if you actually get that and use that all year long, you got a good variety. And last but not least, we still have a little time here. Let's talk about the next important discovery that you made on the topic of aging and anti-aging, which is actually related to life beyond 100. And that's Bliss Oils, especially the combination of three of them. To start off, would you like to talk about that?
Well, the first thing that occurred was I thought if you could keep your DHEA normal, and the average person has low DHEA by age 40, if you can keep your DHEA, it will keep you younger longer than any other single molecule I know. Now, the second is you can regenerate your telomeres, and we have three ways of doing it. While lying on the rejuvenatrix an hour a day. And interestingly, I proved something today that I've long known. TENS often reduces pain.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in a woman who came in with 9 out of 10 pain, I reduced it with TENS on the ankles by 2 to 5. Then I went over it in the rejuvenatrix, and it reduced the pain to 2 to 3.
Oh wow, that's great.
And by the way, she's coming in tomorrow to do the music experiment.
Study.
And we have openings for 3 people only, 4 total, but one of them's already taken, to see the effects on your electroencephalogram of Stephen Halpern's music. And so far, all the people have deep relaxation.
Yep. This is a special piece of music with certain frequencies that support the brain into optimal function, relaxation, and otherwise. And so far, again, we shouldn't say this out loud because it's a research; it's still ongoing, but it's been wonderful, and we're looking for a few more volunteers who want to partake in this audio experiment. No needles, no otherwise discomfort. And if you want to get in touch with us, it's the same number as the office, 417-351-5221. And the first 3 folks who are interested will get to enjoy the sound of heaven, really. But
and I'll give you a copy if you extremely enthusiastic. I'll give you a copy of the tape.
That's nice.
To play at home.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's he does really amazing work, by the way. And I just wanted to mention, so Bliss Oils.
Now, the Bliss Oils, fire, earth, and crystal, used daily, rejuvenate your telomeres as well in 1.5 minutes of time as an hour on rejuvenatics.
And that's a mattress. Now, this is two of the ways that you can potentially, if you do all the basics and essentials and you have a good foundation for health, you can go to 150, 160 years of age, technically. Uh, and actually, if I were to think in biblical times, or if you read the book, there's a number of mention of people living to quite an advanced age. One of the books you have written yourself, as a matter of fact, which is called Life
Life Beyond 100.
100. What was the rest of the title there? The Methuselah potential.
Yes, the potential of living like Methuselah,
Yeah.
which is theoretically 1,000 years.
Wonderful. So, can you give a quick summary of what you put in that book and some of the major takeaway points?
Well, at the top of the list is do the things that rejuvenate your telomeres the most. Fire bliss, earth bliss, and crystal bliss. Fire raises DHEA. Crystal raises the electrode, the point that most improves pain of a single point in the body. And third, the rate of crystal reduces free radicals of 80%. And doing all three of them daily rejuvenates your telomeres 3.5% a year.
And that, as opposed to losing 1% a year under the best of the conditions, and actually more than that under general conditions, general life conditions that people experience are less than optimal. And interestingly enough, when we're talking about longevity and the length of life, I think it's also important to talk about the quality of life, because frequently when a person tells me, and too many people tell me this actually, when I ask or when the conversation comes to it, most people plan to be dead by about 70 or at least 70s, midway there. And I ask the question, why? Why do you want to set your life sentence to that? In other words, it's one of the things that I hear on that is that people believe and understand that you have to have a chronic illness when you're old, and you have to be miserable, and you don't have to be, but there's also the poor health, poor mental, poor emotional, and you're a nursing home, nobody cares about you, so on and so forth. So in that respect, of course, who would want to live into that kind of scenario?
My great-grandmother is still active and canny for winter at 101.
The point that I would make in this is that longevity, the length of life, needs to correlate with the health in life, with the desire, with the interest, with the vitality. And if a person is 100 years old and fully vital, I mean, you're doing great. I mean, making great strides. I mean, by the day. And by the way, how old are you again?
Well, 89 and a half.
So that makes you an expert in aging in a way, yourself personally. And the thing is, Dr. Shealy exemplifies what the principle of the holism in his own body, in terms of his routine, in his daily life, from the morning until the evening, and in what he does, and how he thinks, and how he processes. And actually, I think all things going in the right capacity, in the right way. I'd like to see you prove us first 100, 120, 125. What do you
Well, I hope that I can prove it, not because of me, to prove it because of you. And you can do it too.
think?
And it doesn't take significant money or time compared to wasting it, being fat and sloppy and lazy.
And actually, speaking of money and health and wellness, I know a lot of people have limitations in terms of finances and otherwise. But really, if you want to keep it simple and just basic, you could still have a good life without all the unnecessary, expenses. Truly, and in times of difficulty, that's what it's going to come down to. Keep it simple, keep it real, and keep it healthy, because we can't afford the illness anymore.
And whatever you do, have a purpose in life. And the purpose is to help other people. Now, the people who made this microphone is quite important. I would be a failure at making a microphone. The people that make this clock here, people who made a piece of paper. Anything you do that has the purpose of helping other people is worthwhile. And we all need many other people helping us, to make the clothes, machinery, and cars, and whatever. Not everybody can do everything.
Which reminds me of something. The world does go around. So my adventures with vehicles, just a real quick story. So I ran out of gas going to the hospital. I made it to the gas station, but the gas station was closed. So that's short of it. I should have been more aware. So I called my friends that I helped. Well, we kind of go back and forth, and they kind of helped me out. They got me through. And then the next day, I got a chance to help somebody in the family with a serious health situation. So I mean, the world really does go around. But if I didn't get any assistance to help to get to the hospital with the gas, I would still be stuck somewhere in the middle of the road. So literally, I do want to say that everyone who does something out there with a good heart, good mind, I mean, that's it. That's all you gotta do. And if it makes you feel good and it makes a difference, that's life. That's authenticity. That's truth. Doesn't take a doctor to be a healer, and doesn't take a healer to be a doctor. Either way.
And actually, the most studied healers, speaking of healers, people who spiritually send the mind to help, is Over Warhol. And I was one of my closest friends for many years. And the most striking case was a situation where a woman came in to the church for our session in the morning, laying on hands. And after the service, she took us over and me to the basement and showed her a cancer coming through the skin. Worst what I've ever seen. 1 month later, she was well. And I have 238 cases who are different spiritual healers have changed your EEG from up to 2,000 miles away. So a spiritual healer can be a tremendous help in assisting healing.
And as far as spiritual healing, and we'll be coming on a break in less than a minute here. As far as spiritual healing, I'll just share this. Most people don't realize how much power, how much capacity we have. When you love somebody, when you love a husband, a wife, a child, a parent, there is an incredible amount of power, courage, and strength that you find and that you didn't know existed, and so many other ways. It's all about relations. It's just like holism. Everything's one.
And by the way,
Yeah.
I've been invited to give a lecture to a hospital in Saudi Arabia.
Oh,
In its work says it's a holistic hospital, the only one in the world that I know of.
interesting. Let's talk about that. Yeah.
Okay, we're into the news.
And we're on a break, still live on YouTube and Facebook.
And you can call us at 417-447-1777 and have your question asked right here, answered right here on the air. So what's on the score already?
We have a woman asking how to lower cholesterol.
Cholesterol. Try
Methylglycine, TMG.
methylglycine, TMG, 200 milligrams 3 times a day, the top of the list. Second, lecithin, Lecithin, granules, 2 tablespoons a day.
Yeah. And of course, lifestyle and stress management, those things affect the cholesterol to a great degree.
Autogene training, the
Yes.
basic foundation.
Yes. And that's the beginning. And then, of course, recheck the cholesterol, see if the sugar is in the right direction, and don't go too low. The cholesterol drugs are killing people.
The castor oil drug is twice as dangerous as not using them. Anything else?
Can this woman is asking, can I put castor oil in my eyes during the day since she puts another medicine in her eyes at bedtime?
Yes, any time of day is
Again, just be mindful. And last time I mentioned this, we got a bunch of phone calls about this. If you're going to put castor oil in the eyes, make sure it's a special type.
USP.
Mhm. Yeah. And anything else?
hmm When you use the oils to raise your DHEA, is it possible to raise your level too high?
Not in my experience with scores of people.
The issue, the question is in taking a hormone like DHEA, in which case you can take too much or you can take too little. Now, if you're the question here is that you want to make your own, and your body is going to make what it needs. It's not going to make what it doesn't need because, it's let's put it this way: body wisdom, the wisdom of the creator, and we have been created according to a blueprint, a design. There is a that wisdom is so much better than anything that any humankind can figure out, including doctors, scientists, and reductionists, and all that stuff. So just it's the really just to observe the universe, observe the nature, observe the world, and learn from it, and then learn what is normal, how it works, and how to come back to it.
Okay. That is all of the comments.
Okay, so now is your turn to call us 417-1777. It's free and you can get some important information for the next 27 minutes.
And in the meantime, we keep talking about aging and longevity. So,
We got
Yeah,
about
and let's-
2 minutes until we're back on the air.
2 minutes until we return to the regular.
Let's start with the thing of most essential. Magnesium lotion, eugesterone cream, youth formula, and the ring of fire. Now, if you have a problem in your ears, especially ringing in the ears, add the ring of air. And if you have a problem with hypertension or low thyroid, add water,
Let's-
extra earth.
Here's where I find the combination of fire and water to be very, very helpful. And there's actually additional benefit of fire and water. Bliss oils. Let's talk about bliss oils because I think we jumped into it without a proper introduction, perhaps. Bliss oils was a concept designed by Dr. Shealy back several decades ago, and I think it's still going real strong and it's doing
Okay,
fantastic.
We're getting ready to come back on the air.
Yep.
Sorry.
We'll be back in the air in just a second.
About 10 seconds.
20 seconds.
20 seconds?
About
Oh,
that.
you can. As an emergency room doc, I can do I can do a lot in 20 seconds. Well, so we'll return to the regular station and we'll continue our discussion of the bliss oils and anything else.
Now back to Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Norman Shealy and Dr. Sergey Leo Shealy-Sorin.
And at the top of my list is keep your weight index within 18 to 24.
Yep.
And actually, only 30% did really do that well.
Yeah, well, it's actually in terms of the optimal health and wellness. Unless very small percentage of people actually do what they're supposed to do. Let's put it this way: the number's kind of abysmal. But do we have a caller?
We have phones. Mhm.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Go
You're
ahead.
on the air.
Yes, hi. Thanks for taking my call. About almost 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with non-tuberculosis mycobacterial infection
Mm-hmm.
in my lungs, and I was on 3 different antibiotics, one for tuberculosis and 2 for like AIDS or something,
Yep.
for almost 2 years, and I'm starting to get the symptoms back. Is there something that I can do that's more holistic than taking, all these antibiotics? I'm just like,
Yes.
Where
Intravenous vitamin C and intravenous ozone, definitely.
That's perfect, absolutely.
And the Rejuvenatrix.
Where do you live?
I live in Indiana.
Indiana. There's got to be a provider. I hope there's a provider near you where they can do. We do this in their office in Springfield. Little far to travel from Indiana. It's intravenous vitamin C in the large amounts of doses of, let's say, 50 grams or at least or more. Uh, and that goes with other things, B complex, other combinations to make it safe and proper. But then there's also intravenous ozone, where it's an auto transfusion. Blood, you take your own blood, you put it through the ozone, the ultraviolet cleans it out, and then presents that sample to the rest of the blood for, hey, here's something to work with. That's what I would suggest. But what you mentioned also is, on a personal level, I would explore everything from optimizing the diet, lifestyle, stress, supplements. Make sure that you are on things that will be helpful with the immune system, with otherwise metabolic support. That's a long list, by the way. And last but not least, spiritually attuned. In other words, spirit, soul, mind, body. In other words, we don't get any challenges that we cannot handle in life. What can you learn from this instead of being a punishment? If you can see this as what is the lesson? What is the possible light at the end of the tunnel here? In other words, it's a matter of perspective. That's holistically, but also to work with the conventional side as well.
How tall are you?
5'7",
And how much do you weigh?
about 170.
Okay, you a few pounds over optimal, but not bad. So definitely cut out all junk food, pancakes, pizza, no flour, white rice, white potatoes, and sugar.
That's the beginning and then one of the first steps, and that's part of the lifestyle we're talking about.
And then take D3, 50,000 units once a week. Our Essentials multivitamin 2 a day, and our Youth Formula 4 a day.
Actually, I'm going to make a suggestion. There's so much to talk about here, and this is a pretty serious situation. If you are interested in a second opinion consultation and just an hour discussion, which is going to go beyond the depth of what we can do on the radio, I'll give you the office number. It's 417 351 5221, and then I'll be happy to connect with you and just help you make sense of what's going on.
That'd be great. I was thinking maybe that's what I need to do. I am a PEMF luncheon.
One.
And then I also do take the essentials of the youth formula.
Great.
I have the oils, but I don't do them regularly.
Please do. Let's talk about that for just a second. The oils. If you do, you have a set of all 5 oils?
Yes, I do.
Please use them on a daily basis, because not only do I suspect there's going to be a benefit between the 3 oils, specifically the fire, the earth, and the crystal, specifically for the telomere rejuvenation. I have a feeling that it may help in your situation as well, in terms of the cellular and otherwise. The other 2, the Air Bliss for oxytocin, in other words, the feel good, I'm okay state, is essential, and then of course, what am I missing here? I think water. Yeah, the Water Bliss is also helpful with emotional state and some of the hormonal regulation. So ultimately, if you have them, use them. Use every resource that you've got, and let's optimize this. Give me a call. Give us a call at the office. Let's talk more.
And be sure to add magnesium lotion and skin twice a day.
Where should I put? I do have the magnesium lotion. Where should I put that? Should I put that right on my chest or my?
You can put that in anywhere on the skin, except I wouldn't put it on the face because it would sting in the eyes. So if you have local pain, put it in that area. But otherwise, you can put it on your buttocks and pull up your shorts.
Okay, yeah, but I have called you because I thought about that.
Yeah.
I am just dreading going back on antibiotics.
I would too.
Let's make sure we got a comprehensive plan of action. I'm quite familiar with that combination of the three things that you're talking about, and yeah, it's something to discuss, no question.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, and thank you guys for all you do.
Blessings.
Yes.
And anybody else? Okay, now is your turn to give us a call at 417-447-1777. Otherwise, we'll be talking from the 107. Because everybody needs supplements. Now, the top ones we mentioned already to her. But if you live in the Springfield area, you would be to go to Spring Valley. The big, most advertised health food store sucks, in my opinion. I've been in it twice, and I left without buying a thing because nobody came to help me find something. In Spring Valley, they came to find it for you. And they carry also, of course, magnesium lotion, all 5 Bliss Oils, and in all of that goodies, these places where I shop, and you should too. Now, in addition, the average American needs Nature Blessed Tart Cherry Juice Concentrate. 2 tablespoons is equal to 3.5 servings of fruits and vegetables. So you just add that to your crummy diet already, and you'll be a lot better off.
Or better.
Nature Blessed in the grocery store, in the produce department, and if it ain't got Nature Blessed, it's the junk store.
I would kind of go back for a second to say that if
We have calls.
we'll come back to that if I remember. But
Okay.
yeah, let's go to a call, please. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
You're on the air.
Hi, how are you?
Hello?
I wanted to ask,
Good morning
yes, I
or
wanted to
afternoon. Can you
I'm
hear?
trying to ask a question.
Can you
Turn
hold
your
on, I
radio
think that-
down. Tell her to turn her radio down.
Okay, let's try that just one more time. Can you hear us well?
I can hear you better.
Okay.
Wonderful. Likewise. All right. Yes.
What's your question?
The question is, how does your body make its own DHEA?
Ah.
You said taurine, vitamin C, and MSM.
Actually, there's 4 things that Dr. Shealy demonstrated with clinical research. I'll summarize briefly, but then we'll go into it a little bit more. And it's good, and you can actually find it on the website, DHEA package. It's on realholisticdoc.com. DHEA package, it's right there, but we'll talk about it. The first, one of the 4 at least, I should say, is the progesterone. It comes in either eugesterone cream or the male version, in other words, the Adam's prostate support. In other words, it's a 1 puff a day on the thinner part of the skin. The next thing is a combination of youth formula, which is vitamin C with MSM. That effect creates another 60% increase in DHEA. And anytime you take vitamin C, you have to have a good B complex. So that's why you couple it with essentials and the youth formula. The next thing that's going to be very important in making DHEA is something called Fire Bliss, which it's good. It's wonderful for hormonals from pineal all the way down to gonads. But literally, it also raises DHEA also another 60% naturally. Again, the body,
And magnesium lotion.
and magnesium lotion. Yes, magnesium chloride. It's got to be that.
Is it good to take magnesium chloride orally?
No, a waste of money and time.
Trouble is, magnesium is a wonderful substance to go through the GI system and to come out on the other end with a bowel movement. It's good for constipation, and there's other forms that I use for constipation, not chloride, but best way is to bypass the liver and just literally try skin.
Oh, well, thank you so much. No
Thank you.
pressure. I'll check out the package, and also now I know why when I took magnesium chloride orally, it gave me muscle
Yep,
Yes.
bad.
Yes. God bless.
Well, thank you so much for your show. Thank you.
Blessings.
There's
Take care. Yeah.
another call.
And you're on the air.
Hi.
Hi. It's great to see you, Norm. Y'all are looking great. I have a question about Nature Bless here.
Right?
I can't get Nature Bless here in Virginia. Would a regular cherry market have to be Nature Bless?
Okay. It's the recording is breaking up a little bit. Maybe that reception. But if I understood correctly, it's hard to get nature blessed cherry juice in where you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would an organic or cherry juice work just as well?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Thanks.
the.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say that makes sense actually. Perfect.
Okay, I didn't know if Nature's Blend had something in additional other than being a better quality.
Yeah, it's just top quality.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, and keep the show coming. It's just wonderful to see you, and glad you're doing well.
Blessings.
Thank you.
Okay.
Blessings to you. Thank you.
There's another call.
And
Oh,
oops,
call back.
call back.
Oops, I think we
and,
lost the call, and so please call us back.
and think, is anything in my life more important than my health?
Yes.
Well, firstly, I think for 100% of people, the health is at the top of the list. Because the healthier you are, the better you live, and the more you can do.
Mm-hmm. We have
We have a
call.
caller.
Yep.
All right.
You're on the air.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon. Two quick questions. How do I measure the pH of my body?
Okay, so the first question, let's address it now. How do you measure the pH in the body? There's actually a very simple way to go. There is little strips you can get. I think, where can you get those pH strips for the saliva? In other words,
Yeah, you can go to a health food store or on the internet.
Any pharmacy, okay.
Mhm. And that's probably the simplest way to check
Yeah.
that out. And then what's your second question?
The second question is, what's your opinion about alkaline powder as a supplement?
Oh, alkaline powder?
Yes. Do you like it? Do you recommend it?
No. I'm not disliking it. I'm just not going to recommend that.
No.
I don't know enough about it. But the other thing I know, I'm just going to go with this concept, is that we talk about veggies, nutrition, and all that stuff. I don't know how many times a show do we say it, but that's that kind of a diet, nutrition, primarily vegan, vegetarian, with good quality protein. That is what gives you the pH to a large degree.
And magnesium chloride lotion or spray works infinitely better than anything that's in the world.
Okay.
Now, I'm not opposed to the concept of alkalinity and alkaline water and so on and so forth. I just think that's not the primary target. That's not the most efficient thing to do. Is it harmful? Not to my knowledge. I mean, could it be helpful? Perhaps. I just don't know enough to say.
But you hear and read everywhere that the more acidic
Yes.
your body is, it's more prone to getting sick.
But at the same time, yeah, that's true. Most people are too acidic because of our consumption of nutritional junk and all the other stuff and all the poisons and the stressors that we put on ourselves. But body is a balance. It's an equilibrium. You cannot just say acidity is the enemy. You have to have the proper pH that's in every cell. 7.4, for example, is the pH that we measure in the blood when I work in the emergency room. If it's more than that or it's less than that, it's a problem, one way or another. So you just literally give the body what it needs and just kind of follow nature's design.
So what's the ideal pH number?
It's different if you do if you do the measure pH in the blood, which is what I do in the emergency room. Most people don't do that at home. It's a painful procedure, and you have to have a special lab to run that. But the pH on the tongue and on saliva, excuse me, that's a different thing. And I think they have ranges, and those strips will actually have different colors, and they will say what is the appropriate, too much, too little, that kind of stuff. It just really makes very simple.
7.2 to 7.4 in the saliva. In the urine, however, that'd be 5.5.
So different. So it is different as to which what kit you get. But if you follow the directions on the kit, you should be in good place.
You know.
Mm.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Blessings.
Thank you. Bye.
And
Okay. Is anything on earth more important to health? Not in my opinion. For you and everyone around you, the leading cause of health and happiness is health.
And by the way, before we, I'm just going to say it real quick, special today, and for going on for the next couple of days, anti-aging 22, 10% off Bliss Oil set, the 5 set of Bliss Oils, anti-aging 22. I'll say it again at some point, but I'm glad I remembered. All right, let's
Take another call.
we have a call.
You're on the air. Hello?
Hi.
Can you help?
Go try again. Go ahead.
Anybody there?
Hello.
Okay, there's a little static in the back there, but I didn't hear any voice. Are we?
Sorry about that.
Oh,
Hi. Much better. I hear a voice now. Hi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious about how to decrease uric acid for like gout.
Now, uric acid in a setting of gout. Yes. Is that something that a personal question or just something specific on a certain angle of it?
Well, it's more personal. I mean, it's showing up in my big toes.
Gotcha. Yeah. Did they? Was it an aspiration sample that the doc went in and just got the fluid from the toe?
No,
Oh, okay. Was it in the blood?
no, it's not. But like, I guess it's more of a self-diagnostic now that my toes
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, so large toe inflammation, redness, swelling, all that terrible stuff, right?
yes.
Gotcha. Most likely, could be that, could be pseudogout, could be some other inflammatory arthropathies, as they call them. The key is inflammation. What have you done for that?
Well, actually trying to walk. So we walk 4 miles. So just trying to do that exercise seems to exasperate that.
Well, yeah, that's unfortunately that will happen. It's already inflamed, but you're tough. I mean, if you can do that, you can do anything, really.
And be sure to check your hemoglobin A1C, which is often a contributor.
So, I would like to see what we can do to help you further. But have you been to any specialist or a doctor about this so far, or any evaluations?
No.
Okay, would you like to make an appointment and talk about this, and we can elucidate more about this and how to proceed and what to do next? Can I give you an office number?
Yeah.
Okay, it's 417-351-5221. This is something that will require a consultation, but it'll be worth it to just kind of figure out how to proceed and how to go about this next step. Otherwise, if you have a local doctor that can check you out in person, that would be great as well. I mean, hands on.
I want to read that back to you. 417-351-5221.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep.
What is it? Can I ask another question, or are we up against time?
Oh no, we can take another question. Yeah, go ahead, please.
What is the alternative to Tamsuline?
I'm sorry, Tamsurin. Okay.
Insulin.
I would talk.
Yeah, the prostate drug that allows men to pee.
Over-the-counter stuff, right? You talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. The alternative is a prescription form, but there's also a few things that I would advise before I do prescriptions in terms of the supplements and supports.
Hey, what
We are.
are you living under a railroad?
What
It's
is that
quite a bit of
noise?
sound background. I'm not sure what's going on there.
What is that noise?
Yeah, I hear the voice again. The sound is down. Perfect. Roger that. All right.
Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Okay, so I actually missed because of the sound. What
Mm.
was the recommendation?
Yeah, actually, I would actually, before I go to any drugs, I would actually suggest a bunch of, a few supplements and things that will actually, combinations to help naturally. They offer the best way to do that, and this will take more than just a couple of minutes because to do it justice. Give us a call 417. Actually, Brain's a great
351-5221.
417-351-5221. Yes, got it. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Blessings. Yep.
Blessings to you.
And this is the what I'm gonna say. No matter what the situation, no matter where you are, I mean, there's always options. There's always help out there, and there's always knowledge. And There's also a lot of misunderstandings and lies about many different things, including aging. And I hope what we did today was to dispel the myth that you have to die before the age of 100, number one. And number two, give you a glimpse into the possibility of life beyond 100, happy, healthy, and otherwise wonderful. And any other closing thoughts by Dr. Shealy?
Well, every thought is a prayer. Thinking sets in motion spiritual forces to bring about health, changes in consciousness, companions, thoughts, actions, behavior, and life itself.
Perfect. And this is another holistic radio experience. We'll see you again next week on the Wellness Wednesday. Take care.
And we can continue with the first questions to our Facebook audience.
Okay, hold on just a second. All right. Okay.
All right. Now, as Dr. Shealy suggested, let's go to YouTube and Facebook and questions or.
We just have one more actually that came in.
Great.
A woman asking about what to do about shortness of breath.
Ooh, that's a big
Well,
topic.
that
Yeah.
needs an evaluation. Just the oxygen saturation point. I can check that in 2 minutes by the thing. But you need to know what your oxygen saturation is. It should be 96 to 98%.
Well, in a preferable world, this is. But I do want to bring out something that this question, and it's a great question in a way. Thank you so much. I know that it's kind of hard to ask very specific, detailed things online, so I can appreciate that. When there's an unanswered questions like this, shortness of breath, chest pains, nausea, not feeling well, that's the body's way of sending a signal. That, for example, shortness of breath can be a sign or a signal of cardiac issue, heart attack, stroke. In other words, neurologic. It could be pulmonary. It could be lungs. It could be vascular, clot. It could be a torn great artery. In other words, aortic dissection. It could be a number of abdominal pathologies. In other words, it can starting with pancreas and gallbladder. And like I said, this is the emergency room doctor's differential on everything. So if you ask me about a pain somewhere, my brain goes through all of these things as they go along. But the bottom line is, we can see that everything relates to everything. And if you have a question on something that's not right, you have to address it and get to the place that you are comfortable with the answer. Because if your gut feeling is telling you that you're not at the answer, the conventional system is fantastically famous for not giving answers, just kind of putting band-aids, then make sure you get an answer.
Okay, that's all the questions we have.
And folks, remember, the best thing you do is take care of yourself. Have healthy habits healthy attitude, healthy mind, healthy thinking.
Mhm.
And until next week, y'all have a good one.
See you then.
Okay.
Now, for the record,